In the shadow of history, a silent killer lurks, a pestilence that reshaped the world forever. It was not a war, not a king, but a microscopic organism that brought empires to their knees. This is the story of the Black Death, and the 5 ways it changed everything. First, the social collapse. Imagine a world where the bonds of society simply dissolved. The plague did not discriminate. It took the rich and the poor, the righteous and the sinner. Neighbors turned on neighbors, families abandoned their own sick, driven by a primal fear of contagion. Entire villages vanished, leaving ghost towns as silent monuments to despair. Law and order crumbled, the very fabric of community, woven over centuries, unraveled in a matter of months. Humanity was forced to look into the abyss, and what it saw was its own reflection, stripped bare of civility. Second, came the medical eve. Before the plague, medicine was a blend of folklore, superstition, and ancient theories that were tragically ineffective. Physicians were helpless, their remedies of bloodletting and herbal concoctions utterly useless against the invisible enemy. But from this catastrophic failure, a new kind of medicine was born. The sheer scale of death forced a brutal reckoning. The concept of quarantine, isolating the sick to protect the healthy, became a cornerstone of public health. The iconic bird-like mask of the plague doctor, though terrifying, represented a desperate attempt at personal protection, an early precursor to modern protective gear. This crisis ignited a slow-burning revolution, pushing medicine away from superstition and toward observation and evidence, laying the groundwork for the scientific methods we rely on today. Third, religious fear gripped the heart of medieval Europe. In a world governed by faith, the plague was seen as nothing less than divine punishment, God's wrath unleashed upon a sinful world. Churches were filled with the desperate and the dying, their prayers echoing in halls soon to be emptied by death. But when prayers went unanswered, when priests and bishops died alongside their flock, faith began to fracture. The authority of the Church, once absolute, was questioned. Fringe movements like the Flagellants emerged, roaming the countryside, whipping themselves in public displays of penance, hoping to appease an angry God. This profound spiritual crisis shook the foundations of religious belief, planting seeds of doubt that would eventually blossom into the Reformation. Fourth, the plague triggered a seismic economic transformation. With up to half of Europe's population wiped out, a severe labor shortage ensued. Suddenly, the workers who survived, the peasants and artisans, were in high demand. They could demand better wages, better conditions, and greater freedom. The rigid feudal system, which had bound serfs to the land for generations, began to crumble. Landowners were forced to negotiate, to offer incentives. This massive redistribution of wealth and power empowered the common person in a way that had been unimaginable before. It was a brutal but effective catalyst for the end of feudalism and the dawn of a new economic era, one that paved the way for the rise of the middle class. And finally, the fifth change: the deep psychological trauma. The survivors lived in a world haunted by death. They had witnessed unimaginable horrors, lost countless loved ones, and lived with the constant fear that the pestilence could return at any moment. This collective trauma seeped into the art, music, and literature of the time, The theme of Danse Macabre, the dance of death, became a popular motif, depicting skeletons leading people from all walks of life, popes, kings, and peasants alike to their graves. It was a grim reminder of mortality and the fragility of life. This psychological scar lingered for generations, shaping the European mindset and fostering a darker, more introspective view of the human condition. The Black Death was more than just a disease. It was a crucible. It burned away the old world, leaving behind a society forever altered. From the ashes of social collapse, medical ignorance, and religious fear, a new world struggled to be born, one with a nascent understanding of public health, shifting economic power, and a profound awareness of its own mortality. The plague's shadow is long, and its lessons are etched into the very DNA of our modern civilization. A chilling reminder that history is often written not by kings, but by the smallest of things. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you found this exploration compelling, consider subscribing and sharing your thoughts below. Stay curious.